Hey everyone, it's Sam, and welcome back to the 911 Nonsense podcast. To stay in the loop, learn about upcoming guests, and join in the conversations with the Noon community, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And hey, if you like what you hear in this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world to us. Get ready for an inspiring episode of Noon featuring the Salty Paramedic, a firefighter-paramedic who followed in his father's footsteps. He's not only serving his community on the front lines, but also captivating the world through his skits and memes. His journey from firehouse to internet sensation shows his true passion for sharing the raw, real, and sometimes funny sides of EMS life. Don't miss out on this powerful story and the dedication that makes him a true standout in his field. Let's get started. All right, Salty, thank you so much for joining us on the Noon podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I appreciate you so much. Can I go ahead and get an introduction?
Yeah, I go by the Salty Paramedic. First name's Cody. I've been in fire and EMS for 17 years now. At the age of 15, I started as a junior firefighter at my dad's department, making sure it was what I wanted to do. From there, at the age of 18, I volunteered a little bit, and then I went off to college for 4 years. While I was in college, I worked in the restaurant industry and got my bachelor's degree in fire science. While I was at college, I met my wife. We've been married now for about 11 years. Got three beautiful children. Um, Graduated college 2014. Started looking at fire departments. I found a fire department that hired me. They applied for them, took about a year to go through the process, got hired in 2016. From there, they sent me through EMT school. Got my EMT in August of 2016. A month after that, they asked me to go to paramedic school, something I never really considered. So, uh, thought about it, and I said, why not? So, medic school started in November of that year, or October, can't remember. 9 months of class. Got done with class, started doing ride time clinicals, knocked that out. By November of that next year, I was a paramedic. Been a paramedic since 2017. At my fire department I'm at, I've been loving it. Um, 2023, December of 2023 last year, my daughter was born. I was on 6 weeks of paternity leave. So I was sitting in the hospital, kind of bored because I had this infant that slept all the time. My wife was sleeping too, recovering, rightfully so. I'd always been that guy that posted memes or people in the department asked me to Photoshop pictures. So I got this wild hair. I said, why don't I start an account and start posting them, see what happens? And I just came up with the name The Salty Paramedic, made an account, made that in January on Instagram. Now I think it's up to 113,000 followers 10 months later. It's kind of taken off. So, yeah, that's about me in a nutshell.
That's so impressive, dude. And you obviously know you're doing something right when you have that many followers in less than a year. That's fantastic, dude. You're like the all-American firefighter, man. You have known that you've wanted to do this for a long time, and you've gotten to do it for a long time. And your dad has also been doing this for a long time, correct?
Yes. Yep. He started, I want to say in '87. My grandmother was actually in a farming accident, and when he was 16 years old, the fire department was there taking care of her and really impressed him. So they started an explorers program, the chief at the time, and he got in at 16, and he's been doing it ever since. He recently retired, and he's still staying in doing emergency management and dispatch right now.
That's really cool. And you said earlier that he was in the 20-year program, right? Firefighters don't have that opportunity anymore. It's 25 now,
Yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, that's really cool that he loves it that much that he's in it. And actually that you love it so much that you've been in it because he actually pushed to get the junior program started for you when you were the right age, correct?
Yes, yeah, he did. I was 15 years old. and I'd known I wanted to be a firefighter since I was real little, and so he helped push start that program. It was me and a couple other kids, and we were able to come to trainings, get a bunch of our training hours ahead of time. Um, and then my senior year of high school, I did a internship where I would go half a day to the firehouse and just hang out and train and go on calls.
That's really cool that you had the opportunity to do that. And it's really cool that you got to do that through school. That's not something that a lot of, I mean, I can only go from my experience here in New Mexico, but that's not something that they offered way back when I was in high school several years ago. So if you had the opportunity to do anything else, would you?
Uh, no, I mean, so right now I've got my two dream jobs. I like to say full-time content creation. Spend a lot of time doing that. Uh, and then, firefighting, paramedicine. But one silly little aspiration I had as a kid was being an archaeologist. I was a big nerd looking at pyramids and all that stuff. So, maybe in a different life I would have been archaeologist, but right now, I'm content where I'm at.
That's pretty cool, dude. I'm into a lot of that, the hieroglyphics and the pyramids and stuff too. That's just it's really neat. And I wish I had more time to dedicate just learning about that, but I don't. So
Yep.
I do
Yep. I feel that.
all of my other little random jobs here and there, but that's really cool. So what would you do if one of your kids had said that they were interested in being firefighters now?
Uh, I'd be supportive. It's both my sons actually talk about it all the time. Of course, they're only 5 and 8, and they could change their mind any second. But if it's something they really want to do, I'll be behind them 100%, and I'll help, give them those resources that were given to me, and be that person to listen to, kind of like my dad was. So um, I have no problem with it.
So the mental health part doesn't scare you at all, where we're seeing a lot of, honestly, we're seeing a lot of firefighters that are committing suicide and EMTs, first responders, basically in the healthcare field, we're seeing a lot of providers committing suicide. That doesn't worry you.
Oh no, that worries me absolutely. Yeah, I've dealt with that a lot. I've seen it a lot. I would make sure my children were ready for this type of profession before they committed to it. Let them do a lot of things like I did. Go through the uh, co-op program, junior firefighter. Really get experience at first, and hey, if they think they're going to do it, they get hired on somewhere, and a week later they go through a traumatic run. They're like, hey, this isn't for me. I will be behind them 100%. You know, let's find what is right for you. We will find the right job for you. So it's they're my children. At the end of the day, I'm going to support them.
That's fantastic. And what a great response to that, dude. It's amazing. Did your dad give you any warnings when you came into this career?
Absolutely. Starting as a teenager, he slowly started to trickle out information, tell me some stories, some calls he had been on, just kind of trying to prepare me. And it did prepare me, but there was a difference when I'm actually on my first traumatic call, because you can't be prepared for that. But he did help talk me through some things, and I feel like it helped me in the end.
It sounds like you have a great relationship with your dad, and it also sounds like you have a really great relationship with your kids, and that's amazing, dude, especially in this line of work that can be really hard because your job can really take away from your family sometimes, especially if you let it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
You get so encumbered with what you're doing and getting away and hanging out with the guys that a lot of people I think forget that there shouldn't be a line there. It should be all together.
absolutely.
That's freaking awesome. So, in the 17 years that you've been around and in EMS now, what would you say has been the coolest thing that you've gotten to do?
Uh, Coolest thing I've gotten to do would probably be my first year as a paramedic. I had a very, very lucky year. I actually had three people walk out of the hospital that we coded. Um, and then one in particular, I was able to shake his hand at the awards banquet that night. It was just cool shaking that man's hand, knowing the last time I saw him, he was pulseless and apneic on the floor. So I felt right then and there, I was like, okay, I'm making a difference. I'm doing something cool. So I haven't really had a year like that since then. I have one here and there, but I was very thankful for that year. It was a big boost of confidence.
That's really cool, dude. And so like a lot of paramedics don't even see three life saves in a career. So did you get a lot of I don't know, trouble from the guys when you had that?
Yeah, I mean, one in particular, the older guy that trained me, I always joked with him, said his paramedic number was one. He'd been doing it since the '80s. He always, he was super jealous of it because he's like, I never got one save and I've been doing it this long. I'm like, well, take credit because you trained me. But
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And it's crazy to think that we're hitting that age where we're paramedic number one to a lot of people, right? Like,
oh yeah,
that's awesome. So you said that you got your bachelor's in fire sciences, correct? And
yes, uh-huh.
there was a little bit of a gap between the time that you graduated to the time that you were in the fire service. Was it a little saturated when you applied?
Yeah. So when I applied, it was there was like no departments hiring. I could only find two departments. Um, One of them was a super small department. Looking back at it now, I don't even know why I applied to them. I think I was just desperate. And then the department that I'm currently at, I applied to, and actually the department I'm currently at, um, I knew that they had ambulances, and going into college, I had no aspirations to join a department that had ambulances. I just wanted fire trucks. So um, I applied, got on. Like I said, they sent me through EMT and medic school, and I ended up liking it. So I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's every I can't say it now as much because we're starting to see that migration of every fire service has an ambulance or some EMS
Hmm.
response, right? They should all have that response. So I think we're getting rid of the you can be an all firefighter or an all paramedic. Except in there are places across, like the UK, I think they have firefighters and then they have EMTs. They're completely separate. I wouldn't be surprised though if all fire departments nationwide started requiring at least an EMT basic to work for that fire
Oh
department.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, those days are long gone. So we were talking a little bit previously about where I live and the shows that are recorded here, and one of them is your favorite show, and that's Breaking Bad.
Yes, 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 it
Yeah.
is.
Well, if you ever get the opportunity to come down, I'll go and show you around all the tour of all the locations and stuff. There's a
Oh, that sounds great.
there's a lady that works here who makes fake meth. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about fake meth, a quick story for a second. My dad, he was a hazmat instructor. And growing up, I remember walking in from school about the age of 12 or 13, and my dad's sitting there at the kitchen stove, and it looks like he's cooking meth. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm cooking meth." I was like, "What?" He said, "Oh, it's fake. I googled how to make it." He was rigging up a fake meth lab that night for people to train on at an old fast food place that was closed down. And so he rigs up the meth lab and forgets to turn off the light. The off-duty cop drives by, sees the light on, thinks it's kind of weird, walks in, finds the meth lab, freaks out, calls dispatch. Everybody's, coming. Dispatch is sending a bunch of units, and my dad hears about it. He's like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's just me." So that's a pretty funny story.
Was he able to stop it before it progressed too far, or did they have like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crime scene? Oh, okay, good.
No, no, yeah, yeah.
It was it a small enough community that they knew your dad, so they were
Oh
like,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty small. Everybody knew him.
I'm not gonna
He's
lie,
the meth
that's
guy.
yeah, that's one of my favorite stories that I've ever heard. That one's pretty fantastic, dude. I can't even. It really amazes me some of the things that we get ourselves into.
Yeah.
So in the 17 years that you've been doing this, do you feel comfortable sharing one of the worst calls or things that you've been on or have experienced?
Yeah. So, in the 17 years, I've seen a lot of traumatic runs. People just, mutilated. That you never expect these type of things to be seen, and those mess with me. Sorry, I was just talking about meth. Um, those
Those
mess with
meth
me.
with me.
Yeah, yeah. Those mess with me. But I would have to say the number one run that, I mean, still to this day, I think about it. And there for a few weeks after the run, I was really in a dark spot, but I had a pediatric code, and luckily, it's been my only one since, I've been in EMS. But unfortunately, we weren't able to save them. And after the fact, I was very lucky. I had my wife, who I'm able to talk through hard runs with. She's always been that person that I have. And then my dad as well, who's been through these type of things. I was able to talk to him. And then also my department, they were able to bring all the police officers that were there, county fire, city fire, everybody involved. And we had a debriefing after the fact. And that really did help everybody talk about their feelings and everything. So, like I said, that run was very, very hard. Probably because I have kids, pediatric runs always hit different with me.
Mhm.
Um, but I will say one of the guys that were on there later messaged me, and it really made me feel good. He said, "Hey," he said, "I want to thank you for being so calm." He said, "You really kept everybody calm during that, hectic situation." And that in my head, I'm like, "There's no way I look calm," because inside my head I was screaming.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess it's just how long you've been doing this. You just don't realize how you look on the outside. You're just dialed in trying to do a job. But that really helped me too. Was hearing that saying I was being that calm person for everybody else, trying to ground everybody else. So that really helped that difficult situation.
Yeah, that's a hard situation for everybody, and I'm gonna knock on wood for you and hope that
Thank you.
you and your career hopefully don't see another one. Unfortunately, I've seen quite a bit more than that, and whether it's intentional or spontaneous or a chronically ill kid, it's gonna hit you the same. It's not easy seeing somebody that small requiring that much work and then having to perform that work on them. It's just a tough
Yep,
that makes it for a tough career also.
absolutely.
I'm really proud of the person that reached out to you and said, hey, thank you so much for being that, because that made them feel better in that moment. And you don't realize how much you're setting up people for success when you're that person on the scene. And it's like you said,
Absolutely.
you didn't have it in you to realize that you were that calm person while you're there, because inside you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. You know what I mean? So
Yes. Yep.
good for you, and good for that person for reaching out, because that really helps us remember that we are people and
Hmm.
people do things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, dude. And I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. That is rough. And unfortunately, most of the calls that I've heard doing this show it is pediatrics. I
Hmm.
don't have a kid, but those Pete's calls still affected me. You know what I mean? Because again, it's just the tiny people. That's hard. It's hard. It's rough on anybody to go through that. And I know you're a teacher, so I hope that you help set your other crew members and your teammates, set them up for success as much as you've been set up for success.
Oh yeah, that's one of the main reasons I teach. I do PALS, ACLS, CPR, all that. That I'm also, preceptor for new paramedics, and I'm just trying to be that person that will set them up to be successful, and have good patient care, and make a difference in the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We need more people like you, that do that. And have you ever been in a situation where somebody has asked you like something completely out of the water where you're like, what? What do you mean?
Uh, you mean like I don't know, like as a preceptor, like what are you asking?
Preceptor or teacher, have you had anybody ask you a question that's
Uh,
just so crazy?
I mean, yeah, I've had any type of class I teach. There's always that one person that loves to just ask questions and questions and that don't pertain to the subject matter at all. And you try to just entertain them for a little bit, but get them back on topic. But I'm not going to bullshit you. If it's a question I don't know, I'm going to say, hey, we'll Google it, and then we'll move on.
That's fantastic. And that's how it should be. If you don't know the answer, don't bullshit your way
No.
through that. Yeah, make sure you say, "Hey, I'm going to look it up." And that just makes us it makes us better teachers and it makes us better providers, right? Because I'm a very strong advocate of not memorizing dosages. I'm a very,
Hmm.
very strong advocate that if you don't know something, it's going to take you 10, 15, maybe even 30 seconds to look something up. And that will save you from several hours, several days, several weeks, months trying to fix that mess up that you had. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I agree. And my department, we actually just got the Hand Heavy app, which is a game changer.
Well, what's that one? I haven't heard that one.
So Hand Heavy app is essentially an app you get on your iPhone, and we've got all our protocols on there. And then you're able to enter in whether the patient's an adult or pediatric, and then enter in a weight, and it'll automatically all of our medications, depending on what weight you enter, it'll show you medication dosages, shock dosages, ET tube sizes, all of that. And it really helps on those runs that, you can pull it up as soon as you get dispatched and on the way there, like, all right, we've got a 8-year-old that's a drowning victim, these are meds we're given, or this is what we're doing with them, blah, blah, blah. It just helps take care of those runs that are, the 1% that you don't experience a lot, and, just really give you that confidence. So, like I said, we just got it. We're playing around with it, but it seems like it's going to be a good thing.
That seems like a really cool resource to have. A lot of us still have our protocol books that we have to flip
Yes.
through, or maybe you have
Yes.
protocols online, but you still require internet to access. And
Yes.
so that's
Uh-huh.
really cool. Is that available on iOS and other
Yes.
like
iPhone
Android?
and Androids. Yep, both.
Perfect.
And then we also have them on our tablets. So,
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's a really cool resource. I'm gonna have to look that one up and check it out because we're looking for something similar at our work
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah.
That's neat. And the I love having resources, right? And that's kind of part of why I do this podcast is because it gives other people other resources to use in things that you wouldn't think. Like I know you've talked about how people have messaged you over like really bad calls that they've had or have told you, really funny stories that they've had
Yes.
just because you are basically a social media influencer and you have open arms for people to reach out to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always told people, my followers, hey, you've got a traumatic call, message me. We'll talk through it. Or if you just want to, got a question, I'll answer it. I try to respond to everybody. I want to be that person that they can, reach out to, that, maybe they don't want to talk about it to somebody else in their department yet, just talk to a stranger about it. I'll be that ear.
That's fantastic, man, because we see a lot of social media influencers that are just like they're posting content and they might have great content, but they don't respond with their followers very
Yeah.
much. So that's really cool that you're doing that. Where do you see the Salty Paramedic in the next few years or in the next 10 years, even?
Yeah, I mean, I see I'm gonna be doing the same thing. I've got a notes app on my phone. I've probably got hundreds of video ideas. I'm never gonna run out. For some reason, they're just constantly popping up in my head. Um, I'm just gonna keep posting daily. I'm hoping in the future I'm able to do a few collaborations with some other well-known uh, influencers, and then maybe start going to some, conferences and stuff, networking with people. I'm hoping to go to FDIC next year in Indianapolis. So we'll see. But I'm very optimistic about the future. I'll tell you that. I cannot believe how much it's grown in 10 months, and I love it.
Yeah, and you seem like a natural social influencer, honestly. Like just seeing your content, I didn't realize that you had only started in, I think January, you said, correct?
January this year.
That is freaking cool, man. Are you at a point where you're getting paid for your social media?
Yeah. So as far as videos are concerned, Facebook and Instagram, they have their own program, or yeah, programs where you'll get paid per views and all that. Unfortunately, Facebook invited me to the program, and then for some reason they kicked me out and didn't tell me why. So
Rude.
that would have been some cash flow there, which would have been cool. I mean, I'm not doing it for the money, but having extra money on the side from just doing it's cool. So I make a little bit of money off TikTok videos if they're over a minute, and then I've done a few partnerships here and there. I don't make a whole lot right now, but I'm uh I'm mainly just doing it for, like I said, the messages from people, reading the comments. It really makes me feel good,
Yeah,
seeing
it's
that.
sounds like you expanded your network from your local community, right? Helping your local community
Yes,
to helping the EMS fire community worldwide.
yes, uh-huh.
Really, really cool perspective. That's just neat, dude. I'm so proud of you and where you've gotten to in such a short time. It again, you're a natural provider, you're a natural content creator. That's something that's really hard to find and to do. I can tell you, like, I don't think that my stuff sounds very good, so I'll re-record audio probably 10 or 15 times before I'm finally like, okay, I give up. This is
Yeah.
good enough. You know? It's hard for some people to put their face out on social media every single day. So it's really cool, man.
And I get that. It's not hard for me. I'll do it.
And you do all your recording on your iPhone, right?
Yep, yep. Everything's on my iPhone. I don't do a lot of reshoots. Typically going into it, I'll know what I want to do, and it's not like I'm filming professional movies. I mean, it's usually one and done. Sometimes I'll have to edit them up or, reshoot it, but for the most part, it's very quick.
You recently started doing skits. Are you enjoying doing the skits?
Oh yeah, I'm doing skits. I'm actually partnered up with a company that just started up called Heroes Off Duty. They're a sister company from Board Teachers. I don't know if you've heard of them. They've
Mm-mm.
got millions of followers. It's essentially teachers that are turned teachers first, and now they're turned comedians. They make skits online. They have a full blown comedy tour now, and so they started Heroes Off Duty, and they reached out to me because they wanted to get first responders doing the same thing. So I started with them this past summer, and I make videos for them. I know we collab together, and it's been real fun. So making skits for them.
That's super cool, dude. Super cool. So if this blew up enough, right? Would you leave the fire department to do this completely full
Uh,
time?
yeah, I get that question all the time,
Yeah, I bet
and
you
the
do.
answer's no. I seriously, firefighting and paramedicine is where I need to be. Um, if it blew up that much, cool, but I'm staying on my fire department no matter what. So
That's awesome. And you have how many years left in the fire department?
I have 16 years before I can retire.
Yeah, you're almost there, dude. You can
Yeah, yeah,
definitely build up a good enough platform for when you do retire, you could go full time, right?
yep, exactly.
I hear this comment a lot, so I want to ask you if you had, so when you retire, are you going to start smoking weed?
That's a good question.
I hear that
Um,
comment a lot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, personally, I never did before I got hired, like in college or anything, because I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I
Hmm.
didn't know if I'd leave college halfway through and go into the department. So I wanted to be clean.
Yeah,
Um, I have no problem with people that smoke weed. I have no
no,
problem whatsoever, and it might be something I'm open to. We'll see. But as of right now, I have no desire. Uh, I don't know.
that's
We'll
cool.
leave that book open.
At least you're open to it, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not opposed to it. I have tried it in the past. I
Yeah.
honestly significantly helped with PTSD.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. But working for a federal job now, it's a no-no, right? So
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
it's a big no-no in a federal company. So I get that. Awesome, dude. Well, I want to just give you the opportunity to let people know where they can find you, how they can follow you, how they can talk with you, and then give you any opportunities to talk about anything that we didn't talk about necessarily in this podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So you can find me on most social media platforms at the Salty Paramedic. I'm very active on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, shoot me a DM. I try to reply to everybody. If you've just got a question or want to talk through a run, I'm more than open to it. Um, as far as anything else, I think I've pretty much mentioned everything. If y'all have any questions, make sure to comment down below on the podcast page. I really appreciate you having me out. It's been fun.
Yeah, no problem. And I hope we get to collaborate a little more in the future. Maybe we can do a skit together or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
Breaking Bad
love.
skit, New Mexico.
Yeah. Wait, I'll hit your dad up for some fake meth. It
Yeah,
sounds like
yeah.
he's pretty good at it. So.
He can do it. Absolutely.
Well, guys, if you're not currently following the Salty Paramedic, he said his DMs are open, so go ahead and slide on into him. Give him a follow, a subscribe, and if you haven't followed or subscribed to me, we are on Facebook, Instagram, all of the above. Feel free to come on and do me a favor, throw a thumbs up or 5 stars or whatever platform you're listening to. And I really, really, really appreciate you coming out onto 911 Nonsense today, Salty. It's been an amazing conversation, and people will not know how much I really appreciate you today. And damn it, dude, I am so freaking proud of you, man. And keep up the good work. Tell your dad hi, and maybe I can message him soon and get him on the podcast if he's interested. But I hope you have a
Absolutely.
fantastic day, man.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye, brother. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying the show and want to show your support, be sure to check out the Noon merch store on Bonfire. Find the link in the description below. Also, if you have any guest suggestions or if you're interested in being a guest on Noon yourself, visit the website at www.samspursuit.com to get in touch.